Do you want me to introduce you? Do you want to introduce yourself?
It's really up to you because it's your documentary. I mean, I'm sure the documentary is not just an interview with me, right?
No, it's with
Okay.
a lot of people. But, and then, are you okay with any questions?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I can't. What questions do you have?
There's 12. Very simple.
Okay. Well, I'll check it out real quick. If you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
I like that you spelled job out phonetically. Okay, I can answer most of those. Some of them I wouldn't really. I mean,
Which ones do you want to get rid of?
we can go through. Maybe I can think of something between now and then.
Okay.
You know, like, if I can't, then I'll.
Yeah, you can just say whatever, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so what gravitated you towards a career in English?
That might be the first one. You can edit this, right? You
Oh,
can
yeah.
tune it down so all my ohms go away. Okay. What gravitated me toward a career in English? It happened very slowly, but when I was a kid, when I was 13, I started working construction because my dad was a contractor and he didn't mind violating child labor laws. So I worked construction, you know, through high school and helped put myself through college that way. And I just wanted something off the construction side. I wanted something that would keep me, you know, with my feet on the ground and keep me away from dangerous things that would injure me and things like that. And I liked English and I liked taking the classes. It suited me, and I'd always been a writer, so it just kind of fit.
Does having a degree in English benefit those in getting their works published?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, you don't need a degree in English, obviously, to get published. But if you have a degree in English, you're going to know more. You'll be a better writer. You'll know what's out there. You'll avoid common first-time mistakes, things like that. I think every time a writer takes an entry-level creative writing course, they learn, oh, everyone's had an idea of writing a story where you woke up at the end. And everyone's had a few ideas like that. You kind of get those out of your system. And so it's easier to get those out of your system in a workshop than in a series of rejection letters. You know? So I think, yeah, it does have. Plus, the more you read, the better of a writer you become. So you have to read a lot.
Yeah. Tell me about one of your books that are already published and how you came up with that idea.
Okay. Well, the most recent book of mine that was published was Trainwreck Girl. And I came up with the idea, originally, the very first seed of the idea came when a friend of mine was telling me a story. We lived in Flagstaff at the time, and he was telling me that he was walking home along the train tracks, and he was really wasted, and he decided he was going to lie down on the tracks and sleep there. And so he lay down, and he said he woke up with a train racing over his head. And so that image stuck with me. Now I don't believe the story. He was a bit of a bullshitter, but I thought about, you know, what would really happen if you slept on the tracks, and I thought, you know, there'd have to be a low-hanging chain or something off the train, and so that was the first idea, and then what happened was a couple of years later I was back living in my hometown in Florida, and I was about to turn 30, and a bunch of my friends were too, and there was kind of this weird stage of turning 30 and thinking, you know, maybe I should be doing more with my life. And so, not me particularly, but a lot of my friends kind of had this sense that they thought they'd be dead by 30, and now they were alive, you know, and what were they going to do with the rest of their life? So I kind of wrote this novel to answer that question. And so that was the seed that sparked, well, the seed that it grew from.
So you get your ideas from events in your life?
Sometimes, yeah. A lot of times, yeah.
That's like me.
I think every writer, yeah.
Yeah. Do you set a daily writing goal?
Not daily, no. But I do have kind of a time writing goal where I try to hit about 1,000 hours of writing a year, which is a tremendous amount of writing,
Yeah.
but I do it. And it helps, you know. I mean, obviously I'm not trying to publish everything I write for that much, but I do try to spend about 1,000 hours a year writing.
Wow. What would you say would be the hardest part of writing for you?
For me, well, writing scholarship to be a professor is the hardest part. You know, when you write fiction, it's a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And writing scholarship, it's just not as fun. Yeah, I mean, I never have to have discipline to write fiction.
Mm-hmm.
If I have free time, I'm going to write. Even if I don't have free time, I'll write. But for scholarship, I really have to have discipline.
What's the best thing about being an author?
I don't know. Getting to write, I think it's probably the best thing. You know, it kind of validates your writing. Otherwise, you're just kind of telling stories to your computer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but once they're out there and published, and you can kind of interact with people, and that's pretty good. Now, I've done a lot of reading tours, and that's a pretty great thing where you go out and, well, book tours, but
Mm-hmm.
you go out and you do readings and you meet people who've read your stuff and they're excited to meet you, and you get to talk about books with them. And usually I'll tour with other authors, so I get to talk about books with other authors, and it's just a lot of fun. So those, you know, being able to write, being able to tour, being able to spend time with other writers, so those are my favorite things.
Are you working on anything now?
Yeah, I'm working on a few things. I'm always working on more than one thing. But yeah, right now, most specifically, I'm working on a dissertation for my PhD.
Awesome.
It's on Thomas Pynchon. So I'm spending a lot of time on that. And then I have a couple other novels, one with an agent that he's trying to sell, and so I'm not really working on that right now. And then another one that I've written, it's written, but I'm kind of letting it sit now.
What advice would you give to other inspiring writers?
First off, read a lot. Read as much as you can. And then that's probably it. You know, if you read a lot, you want to get involved in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Okay. As a professor and someone who is familiar with my writing style, would you recommend me to publish my works in the future, and do you think I can handle it?
I would recommend you try to publish it, yeah. When you say, do I recommend you publish it, do you mean in what capacity?
Well, I also like to write fiction
Mm-hmm.
or nonfiction, so maybe go out there and see if someone...
Oh, submit it?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you were asking if I recommend that you maybe start a zine or your own magazine or something like that. Yes, of course, submit. It's a great thing. It's good for destroying your ego. It's good for learning how to deal with rejection for every writer, not for you in particular. But it's also the only way to get published. And like I said earlier, getting published is what kind of validates you as a writer in a sense. Makes you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me feel better at least.
How did you get published?
Depends on what you're asking about. Just a number of different ways.
How did your first novel get published?
My first novel?
Yeah.
My first novel, what happened was I'd written it, and I knew a woman. She was a friend of my cousin's up in New York, and she had worked in publishing. And I told her I'd written a novel, and she asked to see it, and I sent her a file. Well, actually, I sent her a hard copy of it, and she read it. She really liked it, and she gave it to a friend of hers who worked at maybe Random House or someone like that. And the editor really liked it, and was interested in publishing it. And you know, I came from a kind of a zine community, kind of a independent press background, kind of a punk rock background, and I felt iffy about having a big publisher put out this book. So I was talking it over with some friends, and we had talked before about kind of forming a publishing collective. And so what one of my friends convinced me to do was to pull the novel from Random House and help him start a collective publishing company. And it's called Gorski Press. So I pulled the book from Random House. We put it out on Gorski, and then it kind of sparked that publishing company. And it's been around for maybe a little more than 10 years now, about 20 books. And it's done pretty well for us.
You took a chance, and it turned out good.
Yeah, it worked out well.
I like that. Do you have any favorite authors or favorite books?
I think you would probably know that from taking my classes. Sure.
Yeah.
Of course, Haruki Murakami and
Uh-huh.
Thomas Pynchon. Those two are definitely among my favorites. And then there are more. I mean, pretty much the authors I teach are my favorite authors.
Okay.
You know, that's what I shoot for.
If you were writing a book about your life, what would be the title?
Oh, that's the question I know the answer to. I only know smart-ass answers to that.
That's fine.
No. I don't know. I have no idea.
That's okay. What question have you always wanted to be asked in an interview, but haven't been asked? And what would you say?
Would you like a slice of pizza?
Oh, really?
And I would say yes, I would.
I
No,
know.
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Sure.
I really appreciate it. And then I'll show you the